Hello everybody and welcome to Astro Pills Astrology. We're going to talk about the legendary aspect of Saturn and Neptune coming up, and well, it's just hitting right now actually, but the exact hit is next year in, when is it? The 14th of the 2nd, 2026. But I firstly just wanted to throw out there too that I wanted to thank everyone for joining my webinar I did on Chinese Astro. And I'm going to just put a quick announcement out there for people who want kind of group chart readings, particularly from Chinese astrological point of view. I will join my newsletter on my website, www.astropillars.com.au, because I will be doing some group readings and group charts for those interested in it, because Bazi Chinese astrology is a little bit different, unique. So I just want to put it out there, give people an opportunity to get to know it. And I'll be sending out a newsletter on that very shortly for those interested in group readings. The price will be a little bit cheaper on that level. And I really wanted to talk about this aspect actually because it's important, and it's coming pretty close to exact on the 26th around of this month actually, around May. And it's a pretty amazing aspect actually of what I've witnessed, because clinically obviously I observe people who are sick and unhealthy all the time because I'm an acupuncturist and I treat with herbal medicine and acupuncture. So, and I have witnessed this aspect, the Saturn Neptune one, in quite a few natal charts and also by transit, and it is really interesting to see what happens here. And I guess the planet Saturn is about reality, and then the planet Neptune is all about disappearing, the dream state, and a lot of kind of it's probably one of the most difficult planets to understand, I personally think, in terms of what its nature actually is, because it's quite a mysterious planet. And I think having these two planets together is really, really, wow, they're kind of like polar opposites. Saturn, the reality principle, and Neptune is more like, well, I want to transcend boundaries and disappear and have that cosmic yearning of something really, really beautiful and mystical and blissful. And they're kind of an interesting one, but I think some of the key words probably with these two planets together can be like humble and grounded for people who have this in their astro charts. They can be a form of quiet centeredness, and it can make people, because Neptune's a planet of service, so it can give rise to practical service, so wanting to really give, and on a grounded level, not too altruistic, losing yourself in the process. When you've got Saturn and Neptune together, it can pull this grounded force of wanting to disseminate and disperse this giving, compassionate energy out into the world, because Saturn does rule the world and Saturn is the reality principle. And I think one of the most important things to understand, I personally think, about the planet Saturn is this is the planet that we're here to master. And I think I talked about this on my Chiron talk, because Saturn is the bridge and the boundary, and then we have Chiron, and then we have the outer planets. So, and the outer planets like Neptune, Uranus and Pluto are kind of they're social planets, and so they tend to affect us on a collective level. But then also this bridge between Saturn we need to master if we want to reach higher states of consciousness. So I think understanding the discipline of Saturn, the practicality of Saturn, is really, really important to to neglect that kind of reality. And so on that note, the feelings and uncertainty that can come across at this time are quite amazing, because this is one of the key planets actually for free floating kind of anxiety. And I notice a lot of people can get debilitatingly sick on a physical level, really just have no chi, prana, this kind of thing. And Also, there can be a soul sickness or a sacred sickness when it comes to health. And it's also this Neptune-Saturn thing can dissolve boundaries and boundaries between ourselves and also the reality principle as well, because everything can get kind of dissolved and things can get quite confusing. So what happens is, I guess Saturn really, I guess one of the key things I want to put in here is Saturn is probably wants to kind of bring in your dreams into reality, so to speak. Neptune, the dream, Saturn, the reality. I think they're the kind of really two keywords that we really need to understand here. But I guess on the shadow aspect of this kind of aspect, there can be, because it's at the world point too. Like when this aspect hits next year, really when it becomes in, it's around the 14th of the 2nd, 2026, if I remember correctly. 0 degrees Aries is a world point, which means that the cardinal signs are like this, so it's going to affect the collective a lot. And there can be a lot of, in the shadow aspect, people can look to being comfortably numb. They can be, there's escapist tendencies, so to speak, because of the drug and alcohol aspect to do with the planet Neptune. And there can also be nebulous paranoia. There can be really deep, poignant feelings of rejection or fear of depression and hopelessness as well, because this can be one of this aspect that really, really develops into mental health problems. And because the planet Neptune in conjunction with Saturn is like, it can distort the reality principle, or it can distort the nature of responsibility as well. So, and this can give rise to struggle. There's a struggle between the left and right hemispheres of the brain, because Neptune really governs the right brain, the ancestral mind, I think, and then Neptune more so the left of this practicality type of thing going on. But I think on a keynote is when this aspect kicks in, which it is now, we're getting a taste for it now, is learning to live in the world but not of it. So that's a really important thing to do. So we can't get too bogged down in the material with Saturn, and then we can't become too disconnected from the world and having full-fledged escape mechanisms to evade the reality as well. But we can learn to live in the world but not be of it. So, which means, I guess from a Taoist point of view, is we can still live our destinies. That's a really important thing. We've still got to be here to do what we're here to do, which astrology, in my opinion, gives great keys to understanding it ourselves, within ourselves. Anyway, and also I think on a spiritual level as well, it's the ability to see through the world of illusion, or to see through the illusion of the material world, so to speak. What they call Maya, illusion. But a lot of that is a lot to do with not the Maya, and the illusion is not actually the world's an illusion, but it's more so our thinking about the world is an illusion. And I think this is when subjects like astrology can help, and philosophy, to get a good grounding in the reality and how we can perceive our own reality as well. But I think on that mundane level, this cycle has been deeply connected. Andre Barvold, in one of his books, who did a lot of mundane work on astrological cycles, and the Saturn Neptune aspect is a 36-year cycle, and it's been linked to communism and socialism, and which is probably on the rise at the moment. But also there can be, on a collective level, there can be health scares with food. Health scare with food poisoning. Actually, I wanted to mention this because this has been coming up a lot lately, especially here in Australia, where the vegetables have been contaminated with hallucinogenic substances, which is really Neptunian, and also bacterial ones as well. And this has been coming up quite a bit in the mainstream supermarkets. So people, I would avoid those if you can. Eat organic. But also because Neptune and Saturn rules death, Neptune rules the arts. So there can be deaths of prominent people, right, in the arts and film world and music as well. And also because Saturn in a way tends to represent the father figure, and Neptune also is going to weaken that authority, weaken those authority figures on a collective level as well. And I think we've been perceiving this in what's going on out in the world. And I don't want to get too political and bring in too many examples, but this is a very, very interesting one. It can be more so the weakening of masculinity on some level as well, and particularly when Neptune is in Aries, because Aries does rule the masculine. It's like the sign of the warrior, it's cardinal fire, it's the initiator. It's got a very strong, obviously it's ruled by Mars, this kind of thing. When Neptune comes into it, I think there's a high chance it can be. The masculine could really well dissolve during this time. Hopefully not. So men out there, it's really important to take care of your body, your physique, and get really more into that martial stuff to really bring in and harness that Martian energy. But just on another note, before I finish, I just wanted to talk a little bit about health, because obviously I'm a practitioner, but I think Ryan Hart, in his book, who wrote Stellar Influences, with this Saturn Neptune aspect, which is probably it's a really good book actually for people. A lot of astrologers will be familiar with this book, but in his kind of social correspondences to this, and just with this aspect, he talked about Saturn Neptune as in Aries in particular as being linked to hysteria, which is going to be an interesting time. And it is known as the illness aspect, and it's been confirmed over and over again, and I can confirm this from people going through their personal charts and also on that collective level. So we are going to possibly, I don't want to say it, but yeah, there could be another attempt at a world pandemic at this time. So just strap yourselves in for that one. I'm hoping I'm wrong, but we'll just see. But it is known as the illness aspect, this aspect, and the social correspondents can be prone to more sick and poor, depressed people. Because this Neptune aspect has a very strong effect on the mind. And it's also, what was I going to say? It's also because Neptune has a very strong psychic and mental effect, more than, say, a physical one. And in conjunction with Saturn, it can really depress the mind. And people can, really end up really deep and in deep melancholy states, and not sure why it is. It can be just a free-floating thing, and not an easy thing to pinpoint with this aspect. So on another level too, I think from people obviously who've been on my channel, follow my cell salts, a lot of people have been watching those, and of course we've got to look at this and how it affects our physical body, and actually what is our solution when this aspect is coming up. And my first one to go to would be a lot of Tai Chi and Qigong, because Tai Chi and Qigong are ruled by Neptune, because they're sensitive, nice and flow. They're almost like martial art kind of dancers, very graceful, very refined. They enhance your sensitivity and your connection to the pranic fields or Qi. So it's really important for people, I think, at this time to really take up an interest in these, to cultivate their health, because it's a very, very important time to do that, because Neptune, as we know, can be prone to what they call pranic leaks, or leaking chi and vitality, and we need to tighten the noose and strengthen those inner bodies, particularly the etheric and astral, to stop us absorbing like Reich could call it, door in the atmosphere, right? Deadly orgone energy. For those who haven't listened to my Reichian talks, please listen to those. They're really, really important. So we need to strengthen that. We need to strengthen our vital force so we don't take on psychic garbage within the collective. This is really, really important. And also too, for people who are prone to Jing deficiency affecting the bones and the essence, and then also at this time, right, this aspect can be deeply connected to calcium metabolism, having calcium metabolism problems because Saturn rules the bones. And so from a cell salt perspective, obviously calcium phosphate is critical in combination probably with a few others as well. But you probably want to, for people who have a strong Saturnian signature, or difficult aspects with the planet Saturn in quincunxes and all these kind of other ones that can manifest the difficult angles affecting the planet at this time, you probably want to dose up on them. And also, because chronic calcium phosphate, as a cell salt, is very well linked to depression as well. And so it's a very, very good time to get into this kind of cultivating our health on this level. But Tai Chi, Qigong are definite, because Neptune tends to lead to undiagnosable problems, right? There can be weird things. People can be tired, not feeling right, and then you can go over to the medical professions and do the tests and nothing comes up, right? So it's important because it gives rise to mysterious and diseases which are hard to explain unless you have occult knowledge, right? Which is just hidden stuff. I guess astrology is one of those subjects, right? They link it to that. So you got to dig deeper, right? For those suffering from health problems, open your minds, right? Because Neptune can give, you can have a weird states of mind when this aspect comes in. So we need to get more creative with our solutions when it comes to health at this problem. When these problems arise, don't just go to the mainstream medicos, right? Who are more likely to poison you further, right? And Neptune does rule poisoning through drug poisoning, right? It's very prone to drug sensitivity. So I just wanted to talk about this, guys, and I haven't done a video for a while, so I'm trying to get back into the rhythm of it. But anyway, any questions, please comment below about this. Any questions around taking charge of your health, what you need to do. It's a really good time when these aspects come in to have things like acupuncture, herbal medicine as well. And for those extremely sensitive to medicine and medication, then refining things, right, is a very good time for things like essences, flower essences, bush essences, homeopathy. More the vibrational medicine, I think, is going to start playing a part, which is like homeopathy, flower essences, and acupuncture as well. So thanks for listening, guys. Stay tuned. I aim to do a few lives at some point with in my regime. So if you guys have got topics you want me to talk about, please let me know, and I will do a live and organize a time to get on there. Thanks for listening, guys, and keep yourselves nice and healthy when these transits come in, and we shall speak soon.